buttons in Acrobat Pro. So buttons are needed if you are planning to configure your document to open in a full screen mode. They also are needed for users who maybe are unfamiliar with the keyboard shortcuts, and especially the keyboard shortcut based navigation. And the cool thing with buttons is that we can define an area within our Acrobat document. We can assign an icon appearance if we would like. And we can also duplicate these buttons across a range of pages. So again, a lot of options, and now we're falling into the interactivity portion of Acrobat. So I'm going to view my page thumbnails, so I'm just going to click so I can see my pages. I always like to see what's going on over here. And I'm going to go into my tools over on my right, show my tool pane, and we're going to be looking in the interactive objects section, specifically my add button. Couldn't get any easier than that. It says it right there. So when I click add button, actually what happens is you see a button that is already has been defined. If I go to page number 2, you'll see actually at the bottom there's a button as well. My select object tool here allows me to select those buttons. So if you want to see where your buttons already are at, you can see that. So this select object is not the same as the selection tool for text and images or the hand. The hand tool will change. This is the tool that you want to be in when you're previewing your document, because you will see that the cursor will change. For instance, this one, and actually I have assigned a tooltip that pops up that says that website, and if I click on it, it launches my default browser and takes me to that site. So a lot of really cool things that we can do. So let's go back to page 1 here, and we're going to add a button. So I already see that there's button 1 on this page. You can see that my cursor has changed to this blue rectangle shape with my vertical and horizontal axes indicated with a dashed line. So if I want to just focus on maybe this eye, let's go and do this whole range here. So what I'm saying is define this as one button. Now a couple things happen here. So I right away get a field name. So I'm able to put in a name for this button. By default, it's going to be button 1, button 2, button 3. This name is not visible in my PDF. It is only visible when I have my select object tool and I'm looking at my buttons. So this isn't going to be your tooltip. This is not going to be a name that I see on my button when I hand this PDF off to my users. It's just purely for this editing. So we'll just name this eyes, and then I want to go to all properties. Notice that this changes to eyes right here. So when I go into all properties, I now see my button properties dialog box. And here I choose then my settings. So again, here's my name, and now this is where I can put my tooltip. So I could make a little note there, click to view instructions, whatever my tooltip should be. It might be something else that just is descriptive of what this is going to do or what it is. So the form field here, I'm going to leave some of these and we're going to go back and do some editing so that you can see what will happen. We'll leave the form field visible. Now I'm going to go to appearance. So appearance here, we're going to set the appearance of this button. So I can either have a border color, I could have a fill color. Let's not do a fill color, and now you can see what this will look like, and I can choose not to have a border color. Basically this will be then an invisible button. Or I can put a fill color on there if I wanted to have a stroke with a specific, I can make it really thick and you can see it darkened up over here. So let's go back and do none of each. Now my text, if I have text in my button, this is the text that will be used. The font size of 12, text color is black, and the font is Helvetica Bold. When I go to position, I can get a positioning if I have specifics here. If I'm trying to do some management with alignments, I may want to really pay attention or consistency with my height and my width. So I can choose those. Now in options, this actually is where we see our label. This is really unique and it's a little bit odd that we have to do this, but I can choose to see icon only, icon and on the top with the label below it, the label at the top with the icon below, and then the icon on the left, label right, label left, icon right, or the label over the icon. So if I wanted to put an icon here, then I could find my icon. I can navigate and put an icon in there. If I wanted to just put my label only, my behavior is what's going to happen when I have a mouse click or a mouse over. Now in this mouse click, it's going to invert it. I could outline it, I could push it, whatever effect I wanted. This is the state, so it's on mouse up. That's what that means. So on my mouse up is when this is going to be executed. And my label, I could just type in, I'll type in instructions so you can see what will happen here. Okay, now into actions. This is what I am telling Acrobat to do when my user clicks. Now if you notice out here, you can already see instruction is written in the back. A little bit hard to read, we might have to play around with that. Eyes is on the front. Eyes is just the label or the name of the button that Acrobat is giving it for editing purposes. The actual label is what my users will see. Okay, whether that's good or bad, we can choose to remove that label later on. So again, here's my trigger. If I'm going to do a mouse up, mouse down, mouse enter, mouse exit, on focus, on blur. So if I wanted to do on a mouse up, then I choose the action that I want this to do. So whether it be going to a second page, doing, playing a sound, going to a web a link, I'm going to execute a menu item. And when I add that, I now have my menu, and notice that this is the file menu. This is what I see under my file menu. This is my edit menu options. This is my view. We have quite a few view options there. And then I have a few miscellaneous types of things. So I could say I wanted to go and maybe I want to zoom in. I want to view, zoom, and I could zoom to, click OK. All right, and then I'm going to close it. All right, so if I zoom to, and if I wanted to increase this, I maybe will do something like this, and it will remember here if I close it. Okay, so now when I'm back here, let's do this. Remember, my selection tool allows me to see my buttons, okay, to edit, so I can right click on them and get back to properties. If I go to my hand tool up at the top, I'm able to select them and make them function. So there it is. Opens up the zoom tool where I can zoom it to a specific size. That was the menu item I told it to say. You can see it says instructions there if I click, so I'm allowed to interact with it. Now if we wanted to edit this, let's go back, and I'm going to use my select object. Right, and so then I can get to my properties by right clicking, and I can change this. So if I wanted to get rid of this, let's just delete it and we can start over. Now a real common one, I'm going to close this actually and cancel out of it. Let's create a new button here, because a popular one is actually to go forward or backwards. So I'm going to, at the very bottom, I'm going to click, I'm going to do next. You can label it whatever you want to label it, and it's going to execute, it remembered where I left off, it's going to execute a menu item of moving to the next page. Next page. Click OK. Now I could do some appearance things here if I wanted to. I could make this be a different color. My text color is going to be black. Now if I wanted to have a label on it, I would have to type in label right here. Remember, my name of my button does not give it a label, so I have to manually do that. Let's just go ahead and close. I know that was super fast, but again, up to my hand tool, there's my button. When I go over top of it, I get a cursor change, if you can see that. Let's zoom in a little bit. There's my cursor change, and when I click, it goes to my next page. So then I could do the reversal, and I could do previous. So I could do forward, back, next, previous, however I wanted to word that to have navigation buttons go throughout a multiple page document. So buttons can be used to basically execute a menu item. We can also do links. Let's do one more under add button here. Let's click and drag this. I can click and drag around. Remember, when you're defining button or hit areas, it's always good to have them be a little bit larger so that people can hit them. And we don't really need a label here. The appearance I'm going to put to no color so that we're seeing this link underneath. And well, there's a different way we can do this link as well, but just wanted to show you how to do it with a button. And I'm going to open a web link, click add, and then I enter the URL here, and so then I would enter this URL of whatever is my link. Typically I would have that ready to go. Let's just type in quickly bloomwebdesign.net. We'll just do their base. All right, close. Now again, up to my hand, my bottom one was a link, and now this one is a link as well. Okay, and it'll allow if I trust it, and there it goes. So that's how we can utilize the button tool. Many different features. Again, play with it, experiment with it to get used to it. The first easiest way to start is by doing forward and backward buttons.